Hello and welcome back to another video. You are probably wondering why I am on a stationary bicycle. Well, I can answer that with a bit of a story. So, back in university, when I used to work at a bicycle shop in the summertime, I would have customers come in with their dream bike in mind and a budget. And they would sort of quickly realize that their budget didn't get them their dream bike, so they'd stretch the budget, maybe a bit uncomfortably. And now that they settled on their dream bike and were super happy, I would take them over into the next room and explain to them that they needed shoes and pedals and shorts and a jersey and a helmet and maybe some goggles or glasses and a water bottle cage and a water bottle and a multi-tool. And all of a sudden, that same person who just stretched to get a high-end carbon fiber, Ultegra or Dura Ace road bike is now buying the entry-level Shimano 105 shoes and the cheapest chamois and entry-level accessories that they can find in order to save money. And this year, when I was considering about getting back into mountain biking, I went on Pink Bike as one does, and I went to their classifieds. And I found a guy selling a bike that I was interested in. I didn't quite like the exact spec. And so I messaged him and asked, would you be willing to sell just the frame? And he messaged back saying if he was going to sell just the frame, he would actually want more than what they were brand new, even though his was 4 years old, because at the time they were all sold out for the year. So with the value of used bikes now eclipsing their new bike value, I thought to myself, why don't we flip the script? Rather than those people who bought the entry-level parts and accessories, where I always felt that I'm gonna see you next year once you realize that your parts and accessories aren't performing to the same standard as your bicycle, why don't I this year buy all the best quality parts, accessories, and clothing that I can and rent bicycles? The reason for that is it would give me the opportunity to challenge pre-existing ideas I might have. I have long held that 27.5 is a superior wheel size to 29ers, although I am willing to concede 29ers certainly have their place for certain people. It would also give me the opportunity to visit my local trails and challenge whether or not that bike that I really, really wanted is actually suitable for the trails that I'm going to be riding on a daily basis. I have long maintained that new entrants into mountain biking often end up over biking themselves, meaning they buy a bike with far too much suspension for their given area, which is going to impact that riding experience. In fact, I spoke to somebody recently who told me just that very morning she had sold a bike that was only a year old because it was too small for her. And she had said that had she rented, she would have then known she was actually better suited for a size larger. So there are certain benefits in terms of discovering what you like, what you don't like. And the big elephant in the room is cost. Getting into mountain biking can and is a very expensive activity. There's not only the clothing, parts, and accessories, as mentioned, there's other things like maybe a bike rack. I mean, gosh, trailer hitch bike racks, are around $1,000, with some going as much as $2,000. And then there's the bike itself. We have seen inflation ramping up quite rapidly in the last couple of years, both from parts and supply chain scarcity and constraints, as well as increased cost in materials and labor. And so, an entry-level, high-performance mountain bike can easily start at 4,500 Canadian and far exceed $10,000. I think Specialized has some of their S-Works model. I want to say it's like $17,000 to $21,000 Canadian. Gosh, that's worth more than the truck that I'm driving right now. So what can renting do? Well, it can lower that barrier of entry from $10,000, $20,000 down to whatever budget that you set for yourself. For me, I had a goal. I had a goal to hit $900. Did I meet it? Well, we'll find out a little bit later. But that was my target without compromising the quality of everything else. The other thing it does is that it gives you the more affordable opportunity to discover if the sport is even for you. Maybe you're only thinking about mountain biking because you're watching this video. Maybe you have a coworker who got into mountain biking and loves it and tells you, every time they see you that, oh, you should get a mountain bike. You'd love it. It was great. And you don't want to spend $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 on a bike plus an additional, $1,000 plus on parts, accessories, and clothing. And so what this does is it gives you that opportunity to get into a whole new sport for less than the cost of, say, what it cost me to buy my climbing gear, or other sports like hockey or anything else. You can start riding today at a tenth or more of the fraction of what it would cost just for the bicycle itself. So I think that there's a lot of opportunities to, again, challenge ideas, to discover new things about bikes, about your local trail networks. You don't have to worry about maintenance of the bicycles. You don't have to worry about helping set them up properly, because the rental shops are certainly there to help. And you can just focus on riding and the experience and the joy of it. So something else to consider is that in Alberta, our summers are really only from about June 15th to September 15th reliably. And in that period of time, which represents 12 weeks, if you're getting into a new sport and you're really enthusiastic about it, you're probably only going to spend about 50% of those weekends actually participating in, because you might be balancing other interests like hiking and camping. You might be balancing familial obligations like birthday parties and coworker parties or whatever it is. And you might just be balancing out the weather. It's no shame in admitting that I prefer to ride on a wonderful sunny day than I do in a thunder shower. So let's say 50% of those weekends are going to be occupied riding, and maybe a weekend for you is only going to be one or both days of riding. Well, the mountain bike rentals locally range from about $70 to $90 a day and up to about $100 a day in more populated areas like Squamish or Whistler that have a much more robust tourism industry. So if we break that down, 50% of those weekends, around $150 to $200 per weekend, is 6 weekends, or around, say, $1,000 to $1,200 in renting bicycles for the entire year. Now, that's money lost, sure, but there is the trade-offs, the benefits, as I've already outlined. As well, one other way to look at it is pre-COVID, when you would typically experience depreciation. $1,000 to $1,200 is about 1 year of depreciation on a high-end bicycle anyways. So theoretically, you're actually breaking even, again, pre-COVID times, in terms of your financial investment into a year of riding with all of the benefits that come with it. Now, not everything is perfect, and there are a few sort of costs or trade-off or weaknesses of this plan, such as you may not be able to get on the exact bikes you want. Each sort of area or shop may focus on different brands, and so you may either have to drive extended distances or be willing to compromise. Secondly, those bikes not always might be the best suited for the trail networks that they're in. Hopefully, if you're renting from a good shop, they can help guide you both in terms of the types of trails that you want to ride and which bikes that they have in their fleet that would be most appropriate. And lastly, they may not always be the top tier models. So you can end up having unforeseen negative experiences from if you get on a rental bike that has an entry-level component group and you don't think that it has very good shifting, or worse, if that bike was maybe poorly maintained or has kind of lived a hard rental life and certain components aren't functioning as they should be, you may leave that experience thinking, gosh, I don't think this is really for me because the high-end mountain bike that I just rented, wasn't performing great. Other potential weaknesses might be that the returns have to occur during regular business hours. And if you're renting on, say, a Sunday, maybe that business closes at 5 p.m. which would sort of force you to have an earlier start to your day and you can't ride into the sunset. Although a caveat to that, every shop I've spoken to, if you're renting for 2 consecutive days, means that you get to keep it overnight. So that's what I recommend. If you do 2 consecutive days, then you get to ride all the way into as late as the sun is up, which here is often as late as 10 p.m. So that's great. Something else to consider is that there can be a lack of personalization. So if you prefer, say, a SRAM drivetrain over Shimano, maybe you know this going into it, well, you might be stuck with whichever kit that they have. I think that that's a pretty niche scenario. If you know that kind of level, you're probably already ahead of the game anyways. And on that point, as you'll see in a minute, I did buy some accessories that can be mounted to those bikes, and the shops I've spoken to are all happy to accommodate that. So if, let's say, you have personal need for a particular type of seat or saddle that you think might accommodate you better than what is standard equipment on those rental bikes, I don't see any reason why those shops wouldn't be happy to accommodate you. And last but not least is you may have a bit of a lack of selection in terms of what you're looking for to experience. And what I mean by that is the old 27.5 versus 29er debate. 29ers are very popular these days, so much so that some brands have even rolled back introducing new 27.5 models. And if you are someone like myself, a smaller rider who would arguably be better suited on a 27.5, in addition to this type of riding style that I aspire to have, then you may be a bit hard pressed sometimes and might be stuck on 29ers. But that's kind of the point, is it could challenge you and get you to have that 29er experience for a marginal amount of money. So what are my predictions? Well, I predict 27.5 is going to be the wheel size for me. Originally, the bike that I had messaged that individual on Pink Bike about was a 140, 130, which I thought would be most appropriate for my local trails and be sufficient for the trail networks that I would go into. However, more recently, I've been looking at a 150, 140, and it is my intent at the end of this series that after having experienced many different bikes and many different trail networks, we're gonna culminate by a visit to that factory that sells this exact bike, and I'm gonna demo the one that I think, and that's gonna be the pinnacle of the rental bike series and my opportunity to actually put my stamp on it and say, this is going to be the bike for me, or this is not the bike for me. So those are my predictions, and I'm really looking forward to seeing if they come true or not. So why am I on this stationary bicycle? Well, if we're going to be renting and we don't have the opportunity to take these mountain bikes out at any given notice, also another point, you can sometimes be locked into reservations with certain minimum days of cancellation notice. Then you want to take advantage of the opportunity that you have, and that means building your base level of fitness. So in my building, we happen to have this wonderful stationary bicycle. Maybe you have access to one at home, at work, or through a gym membership. And so I recommend building up that base level of fitness so that you don't invest a lot of time and effort and money into going down to rent a bicycle and end up fatiguing after the first run and not getting the most out of that experience that you could. So I'm gonna try to work off a little bit of this COVID bod and get ready for a season of fun. All right, and now for the fun part, walking you through what it is that I've bought. Now, quick caveat to begin with. Some of the items over here I already had, and I'll kind of get to them as we go through this. But for the most part, everything is new, and it would be exactly what you would probably be looking to purchase. So let's go from bottom to top, starting with these. These are the Brothers Mallet E shoes in the quick lace configuration. And it can be a bit confusing because Brothers makes a few different variants. They make a standard lace, and then they also have in other models, no strap, etc. I actually really happen to like Speedlaces. And if you don't know what those are, It's basically just a little toggle here on the actual lace assembly itself that allows you to quickly tighten and quickly loosen the actual lace of the shoe. And then there's going to be a little, let's see if I can demonstrate this better, little pocket, little kangaroo pouch kind of underneath the tongue there that you can tuck the excess in. Have this on the hiking shoes I've been using for the last number of years, and I really like this system. Just, you know, quick reach down, grab, throw on. This has the booster strap that goes over the top to keep any additional sort of laces nice and tight and provide a little bit of stability for the foot. In researching these shoes, I came to learn that Crank Brothers was looking to make a shoe that was good in all conditions, whether that was dry, dusty, hot, or wet and cool. And you can kind of see how they've approached that, because the top of the shoe is more or less covered in like what is, I'm going to call it a plastic coating. But you could see how this would be very easy to clean. There are some perforations here on the top of the toes, and then standard nylon here on the sides, probably for breathability purposes. What's really nice is that Crank Brothers includes the cleat up to their pedals already on their shoes. What's neat about these Mallet E's is that you can see it has a slightly more aggressive tread. It's still pretty mild, all things considered. I actually would have maybe preferred even more aggressive than this, but such is life. Now again, I have gone with a clipless pedal. Back when I used to race downhill, I rode clipless, so this is a system that I'm really comfortable with. Crank Brothers also makes this shoe in a non-clipless version, or a flat, again with different lace combinations, including a boa, but I'm not the biggest boa fan. I went with the clipless. With these shoes are going to be the Crank Brothers Mallet E pedals. And really this is actually where it all started. In my opinion, these are kind of the name of the game when it comes to pedals, whether that's the Mallet DH, the Mallet E, or in the cross-country world like the Egg Beater or something like that. I think Crank Brothers makes an amazing product. One criticism, they're a bit heavy. I would like to see maybe a slightly lighter version to come, you know, maybe in the future. Nevertheless, I also love that it's kind of the black and silver. It sort of pulls together with the black and silver shoes. With the Mallet E's, you get kind of like a nice platform, so if you're not quite clipped in, and then it's a clipless style. So again, if you don't want to go with a clipless style pedal and you wanted to go with a flat shoe, Crank Brothers actually makes some really nice flat pedals as well. I can't remember the name offhand, but I think they even make like a polycarbonate or a plastic version of them, which are really nice. Why am I talking about pedals? Well, if you are getting into mountain biking, and this is, maybe I'll circle back to the shoes for a second. If you're getting into mountain biking, you probably don't want to wear your regular day-to-day or a trainer or hiking shoe. And the reason being is that in the bottom of this shoe itself, there's going to be what's called a shank. It's like a plastic rigid piece. And that's going to provide you stability so that when your toes, or the balls of your feet rather, are on the pedal, that there's stability being transmitted throughout the shoe itself. And you can see, even trying to flex it here, it's quite a rigid shoe. So you can go with flat pedals, and that's great. And the rental bikes are probably all going to come with a flat pedal. So you could save, you know, well, these were $200, I think. You could save quite a bit of money if you think that, you know, maybe next year or down the road, once I feel more comfortable, build my skills, then I can go with a clipless style. But I would still, at very least, recommend a mountain bike shoe for the protection and for the stability that that's going to afford, and then just use the pedals that come on the rental bikes. So from the shoes to the pedals, we go up the leg to the knee and shins. These are the Fox Enduro Pro D30 knee and upper shin guard. A little longer than I would have liked, with a little less side protection than I would have liked, but I think for getting back into the sport, if you're going to take a tumble, you're going to, you know, go down on your knees, What's really neat about this D3O, if you're not already familiar, is it's a non-Newtonian product. So it's malleable when you manipulate it like this, but if you were to hit it, those high impact forces are going to cause the molecules to bind together, stiffen up, and it's going to act like a hard kneecap. So it's flexible when you're just pedaling and walking around, and then when you fall, it's going to provide you that protection. So it's a really great product. I knew from the onset that no matter which knee product that I went with, it was going to be a D3O version. On these, you get some nice little silicone grippers on the inside that keeps it from sliding down. There is a elastic band on the back, no grippers on the bottom because it's not really needed. And that is these. From the knees, we go to the shorts. So these are the Fox Ranger shorts. This is a previous year model. I specifically wanted the previous year because in 2022, they updated the design to have dual zipper pockets. And I wanted something that was maybe like a bit more casual, kind of like, you know, have the standard functionality of just like a normal pair of pants. What's nice about this is these were on sale and then on sale again. So they were on sale and then there was like a 20% off over a weekend. And so lots of savings to be had with the previous year's model. There is dual waist adjust on the back and, you know, nice durable sort of material, little side zip pocket there. With these shorts also comes a short liner. Now they have these kind of little scissors, and I have removed them from the short itself for two reasons. One, I already have a pair of padded shorts, but what's really nice is these shorts have a full chamois in them. Now, I don't know why, but there seems to be a bit of chamois, not chamois debate. What the chamois is just padding for your sit bones so that when you're sitting on the bicycle seat for prolonged periods of time, it will provide additional comfort. Additionally, for men, you can find that this padding in here can help maintain circulation in this area as well. So this is really good. Now, why did I remove this and why am I going to use the other ones? Well, I already had these. These are the Beneath padded short liners. Beneath is a Canadian company. I purchased these about a year or two ago. Pro tip, these are available through Sport Chek here in Canada. Sport Chek often does a friends and family sale where you can get 25% off all products in store. So keep an eye for that. So why these Beneath? Well, the quality of the chamois is almost identical to the Fox one, but one of the signature pieces about these Beneath shorts is the little pouch here that they have in the front. There's also two other points of consideration that these offer. One is, again, silicone grip along the waistband and silicone grip along the thighs. And what's really neat is when you're wearing these, this is just long enough that it will overlap on top of the knee guards. So the knee guards have silicone grip trying to hold them up, and these have the silicone grip that will hold these up. And so the idea is that your knee guards or shin guards are less likely to sort of slip down your leg while you're riding. I'm not sure if you can tell as well, but these Beneath have a really nice perforation here throughout the material, particularly in the back. And so I'm going to be wearing the Beneath padded chamois short liners underneath the Fox Ranger shorts. Moving up in the world, we have, ooh, I spilled my coffee. We have the Fox Ranger jersey. This actually on the internet looked a lot thicker than what it is. It is very, very, very thin. Not sure if you can tell, but it's effectively transparent. This is going to be great on warm summer days, but I actually think that it might be a little bit on the cool side for cooler days. So something for me to kind of report back on. Again, this was a previous year's product that I got from Sport Chek. Regular price, I think it was $69 Canadian. I paid like 33, I think. So if you're okay going with previous years, and actually I preferred it. This has the kind of black and gray logo. I tried really hard to find the black and gray logo version of these shorts. This is, I think, 2020, and these, I think, are 2021. So got it pretty close, but not close enough. From there, we go to the Fox Ranger gloves. These are the cool lunar print, which I absolutely love. For some reason, Fox didn't do like a full Ranger set in the lunar. They just did like lunar gloves and Flex Air pants and some other jersey. Don't know why. The really basic, minimal glove. Again, it's kind of, it's not thick, but it's thicker, say, than is a Flex Air. Little silicone grippers, and it's touchscreen compatible with that stitching here in the front. I actually ended up overpaying for these. They're a previous year's product. Everybody had them on sale for $26. However, I ended up paying with shipping $45 because I couldn't find them in my size on sale. From the gloves, we would go up to helmet, and I actually went to go pick it up last night, and unfortunately, somebody had switched out the helmets inside the box and it went missing. But that is going to be a Fox Speedframe Pro MIPS helmet. Really excited about that. I have tried them on before in the past. I think Fox makes the absolute best helmets on the market. That's my personal opinion. It's the one that's got the magnetic fidlock on the bottom, MIPS for rotational head injury prevention. It's a great helmet, really lightweight. So I will have to show you that one later. That more or less concludes the clothing and attire. From there, we kind of get into equipment. So rental bikes are mostly all going to come equipped with a bottle cage. So you don't need to worry necessarily about that. If it doesn't, you can just talk to the rental shop, and I'm sure they have one around that they'd be happy to install for you. I happen to already have a water bottle, so a little bit of cost savings, and I'm sure most people probably have a standard water bottle that would fit into a bicycle cage, as long as it has this sort of little detent and it can clip in there. So savings there, which is great. On that cage, I picked up this. So this is the 1UP Components 70cc pump. They make this also in a larger 100cc pump, but I didn't go that way for two reasons. This was actually kind of one of the more tricky considerations. You can clamp it on the bottom of the rental bike bottle cage, so the bottle would sit effectively like this in its cage, and it's just 2 bolts, pops on and off, very easy. I'm sure the rental shop will help you install that. On the inside of this pump, though, is the EDC tool. Now, the 70cc variant, that is this one, can only fit the standard tool and the small attachment. It cannot fit the larger attachment. You would have to get the 100cc version. However, in the long run, once I'm able to afford to purchase my own bike, this tool will end up going in the steer tube, and I will use only the pump for storing a CO2 cartridge. So I was okay only really being able to fit one, one sized storage capsule or product or whatever attachment inside the pump itself. You can, if you're renting bikes, as we will be, you can also take that CO2 cartridge and you can pop it in a backpack or a pouch or a pocket or something like that if you want to bring that with you. You don't have to, though. You can simply pump up any flat tire with the pump itself. 70cc, it's still 70% as effective as the 100. What's really neat is that with the tool in the 1UP EDC, you can remove this and use this as your adapter for the cartridge itself. So it's a really amazing product, this 1UP pump. There's lots of reviews and information about it on the internet, so I'm not going to go into it too deeply. But in my opinion, this is the name of the game. From here, of course, we are probably familiar with the 1UP EDC tool. It did come with this small storage capsule, and I bought the optional accessory, what I call the bacon strips with the piercing. And Master Link tool, if I'm riding down the trail and I happen to get a small pinhole, I can pull this out of the tool, pop the cap off, and pop this in, and hopefully this is sufficient to plug the actual leak. That is assuming that the rental bikes are equipped with a tubeless setup. Again, we don't really know what we're getting into with rental bikes. Odds are it's probably going to be tubes, but it might be tubeless depending on the shop that's renting it. So there are some high-end bikes that we'll be getting on this season that are full carbon builds that actually potentially could be running a tubeless setup. So good to have this, but not totally necessary. This kit with both the bacon strips, the tool, and the piercing bit is about $50 Canadian. So you can look at that as an opportunity for savings. Now, what is this tool? Well, this is for a master link, which is what this is. These are only about $5. You can get them at just about every bicycle shop. I bought a SRAM Eagle 12 link compatible one. Why? A lot of the new standard bikes are going to be running like a 12 range cassette. They could be running Shimano, so this may or may not actually be able to work with the Shimano chains. But in the back of my mind, I knew that whenever I buy a bike in the future, I'm going to be running a SRAM drivetrain. So for the $5, I'm going to go with the SRAM. What this tool allows you to do is add or remove these master links a bit easier. And so if you break a chain, you're not stuck on the side sort of pushing out pins necessarily. You can quickly just throw a master link in and get back on the trail and maybe head back to the rental shop and they can do a more proper repair there for you. From here, that pretty much sums up the equipment. So the EDC tool is sold individually from the pump, which is sold individually from the repair kit. And that is, I believe, everything. Oh, actually, no, it's not. My apologies. So one other thing, if the rental bikes are running tubes, then it would behoove you to have a spare tube of your own. Now, I already had some of these, what people call heli straps. These are the Volley ones. So far as I'm aware, Volley is the original designer of these straps, and they are American made. And there are lots of, I don't want to call them knockoffs, but similar products on the market. I really like to support the original inventors of it. If I'm wrong about that, please let me know. So I made sure to seek out ones manufactured by Volley. I like them because they have a full metal clasp at the top. So the way that these work is you loop them through and then back on each other just like this. And what you can do is you can throw a spare tube in here and mount it around the frame of the rental bike. But then you kind of have this little flap and that would be really annoying. So for $4.25, I picked up a bag of 4 of these, which are the Volley strap keepers. And so they're a really simple product. You just throw them on like this. It would go through, double back on itself, and then from here, you can take the little tail and tuck it in. How cool is that? So this way, you can mount a spare tube on the frame of the bike. So these were $4.25, and these Volley straps are available in different sizes and by different brands. Volley directly. This one is Moment. They make the camera gear that I'm recording with. Little optional accessory there. And then with regards to the tubes, you can get like a standard butyl tube, or I'm going to be picking up one of the sort of ultralight ones. So we'll see how that works. And that's kind of another point of consideration. So as we talked about already, one of the benefits of this series is you get to try different bikes with different travel and different wheel sizes. And so the standard rubber butyl tubes, if you purchase a 27.5, you should be able to overinflate that and fit a 29er in a pinch as a sort of recovery solution to get you, off the trail. They do make these really new ultralight tubes, like Tubolito might be one brand, and they actually don't recommend overinflating it. Apparently they have a much lower ability to stretch beyond their standard capacity. So something for you to consider. And there's a huge price difference there too as well. Standard butyl tube might be about $7 to $10 Canadian, whereas the Tubolito, you're looking at about $45, $50. So about 5 times more, 500% more. So that could be sway into your decision. I think I might actually try going for the super ultralight ones. Reason being is I'd be curious to see if it will actually overinflate. It would be a $50 experiment if it goes wrong. So again, that's not pictured here. I plan on picking that up at the trailhead or on my way. My goal for this whole setup was $900. With Sport Check, you can get the friends and family discount, which is 25% off. You can get previous year's product. You can use different sort of credits. So with these were purchased from Altitude Sports, which is an online Canadian retailer of outdoor sporting goods. And if you write a review on a previous purchase, they will send you $10 in expirable credits. So you can put that towards future purposes. So for me, all things considered, between overspending and underspending and everything, it came out to about $956, which for me was amazing. I was very, very close, and it took a lot of deal hunting. If you paid full retail price for everything, you're probably looking around closer to $1,500. However, $1,500 is, as we've sort of proved, still a really affordable way to get into an entirely new sport. Of course, there's still the bicycle on top of that, but we have the best quality, in my opinion, equipment here to set us up for a full season and years beyond, where all of this can be used and built upon. So maybe once we get into the fall, if we're getting into sort of rainy days, then maybe we buy a Fox waterproof jacket to go with this, or maybe we get some Fox pants, and we can still use everything else, and it just builds the equipment around it. Again, I really appreciate you tuning in. The next video is going to be me at the trail, and I look forward to that. So please stay tuned. I'm really excited about this series. I really believe in the concept, and let's see how it all works together. So thank you very much. We'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.